With the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams, quarterback, Southern California.
There he is, a Detroit cheer for Caleb Williams, hugging his family, and he is the first overall pick in the NFL Draft. Kid who went from Oklahoma to USC when his coach Lincoln Riley went there. Followed him to USC, immediately won a Heisman Trophy this past year. Wasn't the way he wanted it to go in terms of wins and losses and things of that nature. But his talent is undeniable. And Bears fans, yes, he's about to put a Bears hat on and introduce himself to the world and head to Michigan Avenue.
He might not have ran a 40 in Indy, but he's running one here. I mean, he is flying up there. He is excited to get this journey started.
When you see all the things that come with Caleb Williams, people have talked about the nail polish and the flair that he, the way that he dresses, and he made so much money in NIL. I can tell you from experience, this guy has a competitive fire in his eyes. And ever since I talked with him as a true freshman when he was at Oklahoma, this is what he has been dreaming of, not only this moment, but being the #1 pick. This has been his goal. He wants to go to an organization, and as he told me, change the culture. He wants to be that engine for the Chicago Bears.
Do you remember the name Johnny Lujack at all? Johnny Lujack was the last great quarterback. Excuse me, Sid Luckman. That's the name. The last great quarterback the Bears had that was consistent. Sid Luckman. You got to go back a long way for that. They thought they had it in Jim McMahon. It didn't happen except for one season when they won the Super Bowl. They thought they were going to get the long-term run. This is where they think the long-term run starts here with Caleb Williams.
When I asked the guys in their personnel department, what did you learn about Caleb Williams from the end of the season to when you really got to spend time with him to now? And they said a couple things. Number one, we talked to all of his teammates at Oklahoma and at USC, and they love him.
That's right.
That was the first thing. The second thing was, I don't know if anybody's had more noise and more chaos around him, more negative attention. And he was so steely focused. He did not get sidetracked. It didn't even bother him. He just powered right through it. Kind of ironic that his career begins getting booed by 150,000 people here in Detroit. He wasn't very bothered by that.
He'll get booed in Detroit often in his career.
That's true.
He might as well get used to it.
And of course, it'll be up to him to quiet the crowd, as Bears fans are hoping that he will do at the controls of an offense that has DeAndre Swift and Keenan Allen new.
At #1 is no longer a prospect. Caleb Williams is a professional and the next quarterback of the Chicago Bears. And as he makes that walk, gets a little high five from Jayden Daniels, who could very well be making that walk next. But Caleb makes the walk out. He will cross that stage, give a hug to Roger Goodell, and become the future of the Chicago Bears. And this is a guy who has been in the spotlight at USC, who has been in the spotlight of college football since he took over midway through the 2021 season, replacing Spencer Rattler as a member of the Oklahoma Sooners, then followed Lincoln Riley to USC, and now you get that outburst of emotion, the yell, the scream, the hug, and that's what this moment, that's what this night is about, the celebration. After all the drama, the intrigue, the mystery, the chaos, Caleb Williams is, in fact, the #1 overall pick. And he is headed to Chicago.
He's taken on some water with his personality or whatever. I like it. I like what I just saw from him. I like the energy he brings to the table. And you gotta have to remember something here. He is a creative playmaker. It says it right there. He's twitchy. He's the home run hitter. But what you're looking at with Caleb Williams is he has the dramatic ability to be a playmaker inside the pocket and a playmaker outside the pocket. He puts nice air under the deep ball, as you see right here. That deep touch is something that sets him apart. The elite arm talent, the ability to throw across the body. That's usually not going to be something a quarterback coach likes a lot, but he can get away with it. He's got the ability to reset on the move and create a new pocket outside or just fling it while he's on the move, throwing left and right. And then finally, his ability as a dynamic runner. It says right here, and I happen to agree with this, his ability, Bucky, to not just win inside the pocket, but to get outside of the pocket and make big plays happen is something that really sets him apart.
So Caleb Williams from USC now to the Chicago Bears as the #1 overall pick. Bucky, it is the easy pick presented by Bud Light.
Yeah, I mean, look, this was an easy one. It was an easy one going all the way back to the fall. This was the guy that was the presumptive QB1 of this draft class, going all the way back from the time he won the Heisman Trophy. And look, didn't have the year that he wanted team-wise, but you still saw the flashes on tape that separates him from others. Outstanding arm talent, great IQ, the creativity is there, and more importantly, he has the moxie and the clutch playmaking ability that every quarterback coach and offensive coordinator wants. This is the dude. Chicago Bears have hit a home run on their quarterback. Now they got to make sure they set him up for a lot of success.
I'm going to give you a stat. You talk about clutch playmaking. A stat that blew me away when I was going through some of the data points. Over the last 2 years, he had 46 touchdowns to 1 interception in the red zone.
Of Washington tonight.
With the second pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Jayden Daniels, quarterback, LSU.
So it is the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. Second out of the green room after his predecessor winning that award. Jayden Daniels is the choice of the Washington Commanders, DJ.
This has just gone from an unwatchable offensive product to must-see TV. When you put this playmaker at the helm of this offense, going to be led now by Cliff Kingsbury. He did this the hard way, guys. This was not someone who just jumped on the scene in college football and took college football by storm. He earned his way. He got better. He changed schools. You talk to the folks at LSU, first one in, 5 o'clock in the morning. He's bringing wide receivers in there, using the virtual reality to be able to study coverages, study route combinations. All of that hard work culminates in a Heisman Trophy, and now he's the second pick of the draft.
What I love about Jayden Daniels is that path that you just spoke about. I covered him when he was at Arizona State, and there was so much optimism and hope for Herm Edwards, you remember, and that staff. And then all of a sudden, COVID kind of derailed that program. That the Pac-12 did not deal with COVID very well. They had a half season. Their team fell way short of expectations, and he bore the brunt of a lot of that criticism. So the change of scenery was perfect for him. And CD, I think it was that change of scenery. Obviously, he was able to mature as both a person and a player, but it's paid off in spades.
Not just his change of scenery, the coaching. He gets Brian Kelly, one of the toughest quarterback coaches in the country, to help elevate him there. But you talked about the path. 185 pounds when you met him as a freshman. 207 now. Last year, Bryce Young, that was a big issue. But Bryce Young was water weight at 204. Jayden Daniels is a legit 207, 210, and has a chance to add more weight and be smarter about how he runs the football.
Highest drafted quarterback by this franchise since they took another Heisman Trophy winner. Second overall in the draft in 2012, Robert Griffin III. As you can see, Kaylee Hartung is about to, well, as I'm seeing, I guess, off camera, Kaylee Hartung is standing by right now with Jayden Daniels, the newest Washington Commander.
As Jayden Daniels makes that walk out onto the stage, another outburst of emotion and big hug and dap up with Commissioner Roger Goodell. And so with that, Jayden Daniels becomes the next quarterback to pilot the Washington Commanders franchise. This after they sent Sam Howell on his way, traded him to Seattle, clearing the runway for a new quarterback here, Bucky, and Jayden Daniels is that man.
Yeah, Jayden Daniels is that man. And the interesting thing about Jayden Daniels, Lance alluded to it, it is rare that you find a guy who has A+ arm talent and A+ running skills. But Jayden Daniels is a bit of a unicorn at the position. 12,000 plus pass yards, 3,000 plus rush yards. And what I love about him is the steady progression that he made from his time at Arizona State through his time at LSU. Touch, accuracy, timing, he displays that, consistently drops the ball down the bucket on those deep throws. Has the vision where he can throw with anticipation and timing. We saw it time and time again during his tenure at LSU. Yes, he has some talented playmakers around him, but he might have been the biggest playmaker on that offense. Being able to break the pocket, he can create impromptu runs, design quarterback runs. He has all that, but also the ability to really just stay in the pocket and make those plays. This is the new school quarterback, the prototypical quarterback that we're seeing, where it's a dynamic athlete that also is a refined pocket passer. Excited to see what Jayden Daniels does in Washington.
I think the thing that really stands out to me is you look at the footwork, and it's important to him. I mean, he's really worked on it, and you'll notice the footwork is really good. He finds his platforms when he throws. He goes through progressions. A lot of people have banged on him about getting out of the pocket too quickly. I think if he just sees an opening, he wants to go get 25 yards, and often he does.
And he can.
And
that's
he
the
can.
thing. Yeah.
And I don't think it's, if you really watch him, he can get through progressions. He can go 3-4 deep. He can get all the way through his progressions. He can sit there and get his feet the way that he needs to. I think throwing outside the numbers to me can be a little bit of a problem, and sometimes pushing a deep ball, it'll come up a little light on the gas at times. But I love his command of the offense, and I love the way he gets himself protected at the line of scrimmage, which is a very underrated skill for quarterbacks coming out of college. He commands the field like an NFL quarterback, and
Like
that's what I really.
Yeah,
he does. I didn't, but that's why you're in the lead seat. You work up on these puns.
You missed it. He said pilot defense.
Come on.
I've been
missing all the
sleeping on all these.
Might be happening between Arizona and other teams, or they might stick and pick, but at least we're about to hear who the latest New England Patriot is.
With the third pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Drake Maye, quarterback, North Carolina.
So it is the 21-year-old from North Carolina that is going to New England. As we all know, in 2021, the last time we saw 3 quarterbacks taken in a row to start a draft like tonight, the Patriots chose Mac Jones 15th overall in that draft. An excellent rookie season for him. He did appear in the Pro Bowl that year. The next 2 years devolved. He is now in the Jacksonville Jaguar quarterback room backing up Trevor Lawrence, meaning this is Drake Maye's future in New England, the kid from North Carolina, coming to the AFC East where Josh Allen resides, and that is a kid who he idolized. It's a quarterback he idolized growing up. Here he is, the New England Patriot quarterback, 3rd overall, Drake Maye.
Well, feels like for 2 decades everyone was chasing Tom Brady in that division. Now everybody's chasing Josh Allen, and they got a big, rugged, physical, athletic quarterback in New England now that's going to give them a chance when they find themselves in some of those high-scoring affairs. This is an unbelievable athlete here in Drake Maye. As we go,
How are we feeling, Bucky?
So there it is, chalk.
North
Tar Heel.
Carolina's in the house.
Let's have it.
I mean, I'm a Tar Heel born, I'm a Tar Heel bred, and
Let's go. Let's
I'm a
go.
Tar Heel
I need
dead.
more enthusiasm.
What? I mean,
out of
like,
that.
I'm just really excited because this is an all-time great kid, for one. And then when you look at the tape and the game and what he did at North Carolina, look, didn't live up to the expectations in terms of the team, but this dude was a stud. Big-time arm talent, big-time playmaker. The comparisons to Josh Allen, to me, are real. He is the prototype at the position. Size, arm talent, IQ, personality, leadership skills. He has it all. The only thing that he doesn't have is the experience. And the inexperience leads to some inconsistencies. But if he irons that part out, you're talking about a superstar in this league.
Well, that's right, because you got to have that fit check before you're on the ISO cam walking down the hallway, right? You had to make sure everything was right. But yeah, I'm with you, Drake. There you go. It doesn't matter now, man, because all that matters is what you do when you get that New England Patriot uniform on, and there it is. Drake Maye showcasing those Patriot threads for the first time, right? Mac Jones out this offseason and now in Drake Maye. So, Lance, tell us what we love about the UNC QB.
He's traits. This is Mr. Traits of the draft at quarterback. Size and athleticism. He's got the big arm, unquestionable arm talent, without question. I think the other thing that really stands out when you look at Drake Maye is he's fearless now. He's got guts. Now, as Bucky mentioned, sometimes that turns into mistakes, and he's got to get that under control. But you'd rather say whoa than go, as they say about a quarterback, and he's got plenty of go. He's got good touch and accuracy on the ball, on the throws into the end zone. I think that's something he really needs to work on the short stuff, not throwing 100 miles an hour. But he's also a creative player, and he's a guy that when he gets outside of the pocket, he is physical as a runner, but he's not afraid to try to find a creative avenue to get the ball out. I just mentioned the mobility. I mean, it's a big part of who you have to be in today's NFL. You've got to be mobile enough to not be a statue, to make teams recognize that they're going to get hurt if they blitz you and they miss. If you come at the king, you best not miss. Well, that's what Drake Maye is hoping to show some people there in New England. But he's going to need time, Bucky. He's going to need time.
Yeah, he's going to need some time just because of the inexperience. Like in the last 4 years, he's only played football in 2 of those seasons. Missed all of his senior season due to COVID. Played behind Sam Howell. Didn't get much time as a freshman. Then he played the last 2 years at Carolina. So everyone has to understand, look, he is a work in progress. It's great that they have Jacoby Brissett there. There's not the pressure to put Drake Maye on the field, but if it comes together with the talent and the traits.
While the Chargers are already a minute and a half into their clock.
With the 4th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Marvin Harrison Jr., Wide receiver, Ohio State.
Well, a Maserati is about to hit the showroom floor here in the Motor City. Marvin Harrison Jr., one of the more talented quarterbacks ever at Ohio State, hugging his head coach Ryan Day as he makes his way out here on a draft night to go to Arizona and become the prime target for Kyler Murray in the NFC West.
I'm all for trading down and getting depth, but I'm more into getting dudes. You have your depth, I'll take my dudes. This is a big-time playmaker. They need blue-chip difference makers on this roster for the Arizona Cardinals. There aren't many. And Kyler Murray is grinning from ear to ear. He has a number one wide receiver, and not 2 years from now, 3 years from now. This is a number one wide receiver this year. He's going to be ready to roll right when he gets on the field.
On the whiteboard, it's X's and O's, right, Joel?
That's right.
This is an X that comes to life and is an X factor. And Kyler Murray has to have this guy in order to get this offense going. The organization says Kyler Murray's our quarterback. Give him some people that give him a chance to make those plays. Marvin Harrison does it. By the way, he didn't run the 40. He didn't do the combine.
Didn't need to.
Why? He was training to be a football player.
That's exactly right, and that's what he is. Let me take you guys back a couple of years. You guys all know how many Ohio State games that Gus and I call, right? I mean,
all of them. I think you did all of them.
I
think you missed the Youngstown State game. That's about it.
You know, we do our best, CD. There's no doubt. You even throw out the Maserati, Rich. You know, so
that's a shout out. Shout out to Gus.
You've been listening. That's
By
right.
the way, Gus is from the D.
So, guys, 3 years ago, he's a true freshman that's having a hard time breaking into the wide receiver room because it's Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. And I would ask those guys amongst the three of them, hey, who's the best among the three of you? And they would all look at me and say, oh, no. He's the best one. Marvin Harrison Jr., who wasn't even on the field yet. He proved it in that Rose Bowl, you remember, against Utah as a true freshman, and he's been the best receiver in college football ever since.
The highest drafted wide receiver for Arizona since drafting Larry Fitzgerald, third overall in 2004. Welcome to Prime.
And the thing that you like about Marvin Harrison Jr. is he can work all three levels as well. So there's really nothing that he can't do. He is a rock-solid player, Bucky, and he's a player to me that this pick, I'm really glad that Monty Ossenfort didn't get cute and try to trade back, because at some point, don't pass up on great players.
Don't pass
Players over picks in this one.
Yeah, players over picks. And going all the way back, the match with this franchise made a lot of sense because, to me, Marvin Harrison Jr. was very similar to Larry Fitzgerald when Larry Fitzgerald was coming out, meaning he was a pro's pro from day one. Polished route runner, great ball skills and pass catching ability, just has an ability to man the position like a number one. He is everything that you look for in a wide receiver one, and I think he's going to have a lot of success at the next level.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the yards after the catch, something that we saw often from him in Columbus. I mean, look at the smoothness in the top of the routes. I mean, that's where that craft comes in, right, Buck?
He has it. And when you have a dad that is a gold jacket guy, a Hall of Famer, just imagine what those conversations have been like since he's been little, since he's first started playing the game. He has all of that stuff. And I think the advantage that he may have on others, when he steps into the NFL facility, it won't be too big for him. He knows what it's going to be like. He knows what he's stepping into. That matters.
I've kind of said it. He's got a lot of that smoothness and body control that we saw from his dad, but in a much bigger frame. I had a chance to watch him twice in person. First time I saw him in person, he made arguably the greatest catch I've ever seen in a college football game, and it was on like an out route or an out-breaking route on the sideline where he got like the foot you wouldn't expect to come down inbounds, just inbounds. I didn't believe it when I saw it. It was so ridiculous. But those are the types of plays that he made week in and week out in Columbus there for the Buckeyes. And, I mean, just an absolute stud of a player. You know, you hear and you talk to people inside their building, and they're like, he is a worker like you wouldn't believe. He's not involved. In fact, I mean, his dad was saying, you need to get in there and complain for the ball more. Yes. That's not his style. He's not the diva.
No, that's not his style. And you know, I've heard the knock against him that Malik Nabers has that dog. Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't have as much dog. But the problem is that I have with that is just go watch the tape and just go look at the production. With C.J. Stroud, he had X production, which is exceptional. Yeah. With a much lesser quarterback this year, he had like very similar production. And
1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, almost exact.
Exactly. And you talk a lot about, well, this guy needs a better quarterback, or this guy. Didn't matter who the quarterback is, he's just productive. In 2 losses against Michigan, He had 120 and 118 yards against Jim Harbaugh. They're both losses, but touchdowns in both of them. That just goes to show you that consistency, Buck.
That consistency is there, and people shouldn't question the dog. He had to live up to his dad's name.
You better believe that.
He got everybody's best punch.
And he has.
And he didn't do it tonight either. So the coach of the championship college team in Michigan is about to make his first choice as a Chargers HC.
I see what you did.
Thank you, brother.
With the fifth pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Joe Alt, tackle, Notre Dame.
So they do take the left tackle from Notre Dame, even though Rashawn Slater is their all-pro. But for the moment, let's give Joe Alt his flowers.
Well, Joe Alt went from a tight end to a tackle, and within 2 years was the 5th pick in the draft. I think he'll be okay moving from left tackle to right tackle. He'll be able to pull that off. He is extremely long. You saw the dimensions. He's almost 6'9". This is Jonathan Ogden type height at left tackle. Length and range. You can't get into his chest. He does a great job of keeping his chest clean. You can't overpower him that way. In the run game for a big guy, he can roll his hips, get low, and create a lot of movement. You want to climb to the second level, which you're going to be doing a lot with Jim Harbaugh in this offensive system with the Chargers. He does that as well. They are going to protect Justin Herbert, and they are going to give Justin Herbert a running game. 2 areas and 2 issues that have been there for the Chargers since he entered the league.
That's a fan cam right there presented by Rocket Mortgage, showing the moment that the Alt family is essentially back in the National Football League, right? So there he is, Joe Alt, going to Los Angeles to protect Justin Herbert and start road grading for Jim Harbaugh.
You made some great points, Daniel, about what they're going to do. I think, Joel, you were anticipating that if this pick somehow that Arizona had passed on Marvin Harrison Jr. had gotten out, that might have been the wide receiver that would have been discussed right there, because Jim Harbaugh saw him for those years at Michigan.
Group, we had talked about him as kind of that wire-to-wire number one. There was some late JC Latham love on the streets there, but it is Alt going to the Chargers.
It is Alt. Alt is an extremely safe player when you look at the pedigree. His dad was an NFL tackle. He's got size. He's got athleticism. The length, as you mentioned here, as you see right there, range. What they mean by range is the ability to set out and go catch those speed rushers. What's really, I think, also impressive about him is for a taller center or taller tackle, he does a nice job of getting the pad level down and driving from his core. So a lot of times with taller tackles, they have a hard time getting the pad level down. They tend to get stood up as run blockers. He's a Notre Dame run blocker, meaning they get after it and they get the pad level down. And Joe Alt is one of the safer picks in this draft. And I think, what basically you're saying right now with the Chargers is we're going to beat you up front, and then we're going to let our quarterback have maybe a little easier. We're not going to make him carry all the load from now on.
This was the most transparent pick that we could ever get. I mean, this was telegraphed from the thing. I mean, Jim Harbaugh takes over. He's always utilized the offensive line to really set the foundation for his rebuilding projects. He did it at Stanford. He did it again with the 49ers. And he did it with Michigan, winning the national title. There's no way that he was going to deviate from the formula that's been so successful for him. He goes and gets Joe Alt to now go with Rashawn Slater. They now rebuilt this offensive line. He wants to make the game very easy for Justin Herbert. They're going to run the football, and they're going to lean on their franchise, their superstar quarterback, to just make plays when they need him to make plays instead of just draining everything out of them. The Chargers are on their way to building a bully because he believes that bully ball works, and based on his track record, he certainly has a lot of success doing it that way.
With the 6th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Malik Nabers, wide receiver, LSU.
So they do go wide receiver from LSU, just like back in the day, Odell. And it is Malik Nabers coming to the Giants' fold and bringing his remarkably dynamic style of play to the NFC East, and an offense that currently will be quarterbacked by Drew Lock until Daniel Jones is healthy, as it currently stands, as he walks to the stage right now.
I talked to Brian Daboll before last year's draft, and I said, what do you need to get accomplished? He said, we might be the slowest team in the league. We've got to get faster. We've got to get more dynamic. They made an effort with that last year with Jalen Hyatt, big-time speed they've added, and now they get the most electrifying wide receiver in this class. Not the most polished, but a big play waiting to happen That can be throwing the ball 60 yards down the field. That can be literally handing him the ball and watching him run 60 yards down the field.
Well, you just mentioned what they had to do, and they've got all that in terms of the speed and everything else, the dynamicism. But here's the thing for me, Joel. It's the competitiveness. If you've been around Brian Daboll and been around his ball club, they always have competitive periods, ones versus ones. End the day with a competitive thing, who won, who lost. He wants all of that. That's Malik Nabers.
Yep.
That fits Brian Daboll. Remember, Brian Daboll was in Buffalo when they acquired Stephon Diggs, and he came out and was dynamic right from the beginning under Brian Daboll. That fits perfectly in terms of who they are, who Brian Daboll is as a head coach, and what his team needs if they want to start getting back on that mission to try and win the NFC East.
You see that competitiveness, guys, show up with the ball in his hands. You know, when he's running, you can see just the urgency that he has in creating some of those big plays. DJ, you've said during this program, he's got like a jetpack on his back. I mean, that's how he plays, whether he's running a route down the field or he's got the ball in a tunnel screen.
And please let the Giants and the Jets do some preseason scrimmages, because we're going to have a necklace off between Leak and Sauce, and they'll go at each other every day in the practice field.
It's called the Snoopy Bowl every single year.
Yeah, but I want them to have some of those practices and get at it.
Last thing.
And I think this is this guy's so talented. I mean, his gliding speed, he's got incredible speed, but the way he glides on the field truly sets him apart, because it disguises his incredible speed. I think what we have here, what we're looking at right now, is a player that there could be a little lower floor with him, because he's not as polished as a Marvin Harrison Jr. But what pushed him just past Marvin Harrison Jr. in my ratings, Bucky, was the fact that he has elite speed, elite competitiveness, and there's not a lot of things he doesn't do well. But what I really love, he can work from the slot. And I think that is a big weapon to work the X, the Z, the slot. He can work any of those wide receiver spots.
Look, dog. Straight
One
dog.
word.
He has all the competitive fire and the instincts that you're looking for in an elite playmaker. When you turn on the tape and you watch him, he can run every route in the book. He's terrific with the ball in his hands as a run-after-catch guy. And he just has this ability to turn his game up a notch when he needs to. The comparison I like to DJ Moore is real, but this is a big-time playmaker, one that'll make the game easy for Daniel Jones, because he can turn those short passes into big games.
Sure, and as Lance, as you were saying, put him in the slot, man. They ran that slot fade to death down in Death Valley at LSU, and he was so successful on it. Put the ball in his hands, watch him. There it is, the slot fade.
And again.
Just shows up, and oh, God.
Like that?
Again and again.
Stand a chance.
You like that. Let me tell you something. When he gives you that little nod and go, you're done. It's a wrap. Because if you misstep on anything that he shows you, and he can tilt corners too. That's one of the things I really like about him, is the polish isn't quite there as a route runner. Hasn't needed to be. They run in space a lot at LSU. But man, when you see what he's able to do with the hips, the feet, the suddenness, the burst, his ability to accelerate from 0 to 60 is almost instantaneous. And that's something to me.
Is that a slot fade again?
That's another slot fade.
No, that's what they called it against Texas A&M. Again.
You're going to see a lot of them.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of them. But, really he was so much more effective from the slot, but can work outside. And another factor that I really think goes really under-discussed with Malik Nabers is you talk about his speed and suddenness, but he is a competitive contested catch guy. He is going to body you up, put you on his hip, get the arm extension, and he's going to go get it. You talk about dog, Bucky. The dog stuff shows up when it's a 50-50, and he's got that dog in the 50-50 balls.
With the 7th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select JC Latham, tackle, Alabama.
Well, we had tackles go at 5 and 7. Not a surprise either spot. The Tennessee Titans, this was a glaring need for them. Will Levis needs some help, needs some protection. They were tied for 28th in sacks allowed last year. Latham is a mammoth human being. Played at right tackle there. He's also played inside at guard. I believe he'll be a left tackle in the NFL, Charles. The upside with him in terms of what he can become, big-time recruit, big-time talent, I think there's still more there for him.
He's like those things at the airport. He's an APM, automated people mover, right? But here's the other part. Bill Callahan was the coach in Cleveland when they drafted Jedrick Wills out of Alabama, right tackle his college career. They converted him to left tackle. Bill Callahan is now the offensive line coach for the Tennessee Titans. If you're talking about converting a guy from right tackle to left tackle, and they were going to do it last year, but Michael Proctor was there, and they decided to just leave JC Latham, guess what? He's going to make the move now under one of the best offensive line coaches in NFL history.
Well, and they needed help up front. There's no doubt about that. This guy,
next to Skoronski.
And he is athletic and has been for a long time. Could dunk a basketball in middle. Oh, here we go. He's got the back surgery. Hold on.
Nobody told him.
Is it?
Oh, wow.
Raj is wincing up there.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Let's all take a breath. I think he's okay.
Looks like he's all right. I don't know. He's fighting through it.
Donna Ponte is stretching. Donna Ponte stretching right now. She might have to come out early.
My next note literally was like, can be a little too aggressive at times.
JC Latham is incredibly powerful. When you watch him on tape, though, that does not prevent him from getting out in pass setting. But we'll get to his XOs in a second. I think what this does for Tennessee is this is a team that has been built on the running game for years and years, from Chris Jones, even when VY was there, you go to Derrick Henry for years and years, and that is who they are. And if you ask Will Levis to do too much, I think it will regress on you. If you protect him with a running game and with pass protection, which he can do both, I think you're in good shape. And the thing I love about him, Bucky, and you know this from being in locker rooms or in the front office, he can play right tackle, but if things don't go well, he's got Pro Bowl potential at a guard spot.
He absolutely does. I think, to me, this is Rand Carthon putting his stamp on the team. Knowing Rand pretty well, having watched Rand throughout his time, he is saying that the Tennessee Titans are still going to play bully ball, even though they're surrounding the quarterback. And
big pickup. There it is. Our first monster hug of the night.
Putting him in a position to have success. They got a big guy that can play that smash mouth football that they want to play. Bill Callahan endorsed this pick. JC Latham is there just because the offensive line coach is saying, hey, we want to make sure that we dominate at the point of attack.
Second offensive lineman off the board is JC Latham, who had really been making, it seems like, a push, at least through draft buzz in the last couple of days and couple of weeks, so much so we thought he might end up being the first one off the board. What do we love about it here, Lance?
What we love about it is he's got strong hands now. When he gets his hands on you, you're probably not getting away once he sinks in. I like the fact that he can anchor up. You see him get wide with the base, unlock the hips, the knees, the ankles. He has the ability, as you saw right there, to deal with spin moves and passes off twists. So a lot of the stuff we show is the passing game, but I think the run game is where he shines. And this is why he's my number one tackle on the board, is he is an elite run blocker.
I love this play right here.
He is a mauler. He stays after it. He didn't get you one time. He wanted to go get you two times. He's got the attitude to let you know that he is there to whip you time in and time out. And I think he is a good enough pass protector. I think Alt is maybe a little safer as a pass protector, but I think Latham is just as good. And I talked to some other offensive line coaches who had Latham just ahead of Alt, but it's close. I mean, they're both excellent tackles. And good news for you, if you need a tackle, this is a great draft. But Rhett, having only one more pick on day 2 in the second round, I think that really, when you look at where the tackles are going to go here and how much talent at wide receiver is available in the second round. Yeah, it makes more sense to play it this way.
Offensive line value better now, whereas receiver value much better than offensive line value top of round 2.
Without question.
Which is probably part of the calculus here as well.
Here we go.
With the 8th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Michael Penix Jr.
Well, there it is.
Quarterback, Washington.
That is the first surprise of the NFL Draft, to say the least. The 4th quarterback off the board is Michael Penix Jr. He is a top 10 selection, and he is going to the place that just made a very expensive investment in a veteran quarterback. And it's kind of wild that Kirk Cousins arrives in Atlanta. He signs in Atlanta. He leaves Minnesota to go to Atlanta. Minnesota is sticking around, and with this selection, having JJ McCarthy get one more pick closer to them, with the Bears on the clock, the Jets after them, and there is the Vikings. But again, placing that aside, Michael Penix Jr. is going to Atlanta.
And this is a huge arm. You see Joe Flacco's name on the bottom. The way the ball spins out of his hand, it is very reminiscent of Joe Flacco. And you talk about Justin Herbert just spinning the football. It is ridiculous with his arm strength. This is from the Texas game, attacking over the top down the field. He can play on top of the coverage. This was a question mark In the Texas game, he answered it. His ability to navigate around some pressure, move around within the pocket. Look at this placement to Rome Odunze down the field. Beautiful ball. Again, outside the numbers, he's fantastic. Over the top, he's fantastic. And when you need to fit the ball in tight windows, watch him beat the safety with this throw. Again, it looks like he's throwing a Nerf ball.
Yeah.
He has got a ridiculous arm. Now, there's injuries. That's something that some teams were concerned about. His 4 seasons at Indiana all ended in injury.
But the last 2 years,
he's been healthy the last 2 years, and he's played out
him.
of his mind. But this is fascinating because we were talking about he's a little bit older.
Yeah.
Do you want to get him on the field? He's not getting on the field with Kirk Cousins in that contract right now.
Well, I'll tell you, when he gets on the field, all right, you said he throws a great deep ball. I would agree. He throws the best deep to intermediate pass in this draft, but it's more than just a throw, it's a pass. The ability to pass the ball with leverage down the field, when you watch him, everything is always away from the defender. We talk about 50-50 situations with wide receivers. Well, he gives his wide receivers better odds than that because the ball is always in the proper spot down the field. And I think that's an incredibly rare trait. He's got long arms, big hands, and he spins it as well as anybody. When you just look at a guy that takes the ball and is in the pocket and controls the game from the pocket, there was nobody better in this draft.
The Atlanta Falcons select Michael Penix Jr., quarterback, Washington.
Let's go.
What?
Let's go.
Check out the fam cam presented by Icy Hot. Michael Penix is an Atlanta Falcon. My goodness. The surprise of the draft, without question. The 4th quarterback off the board to a team nobody expected to take a QB. Have at it, Buck.
So no one expected him to take a QB in the top 10. Thought about maybe in the 2nd round, but Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta. You're thinking about Kirk Cousins. You think about the firepower and weapons that Atlanta Falcons have. You need a big-time playmaker, someone that can throw the ball down the field. There's no one better in the draft at throwing the deep ball than Michael Penix.
Let's go.
And when we go back and we look at the playoffs, when we watched it versus Texas, we were talking about this dude being an absolute deal.
Yeah.
Surgical precision, the way he carved them up. Didn't have the same kind of game in Michigan. I feel like that impacted the way that people viewed him. But when you look at the tape, super clean pushing the ball down the field, pocket awareness, anticipation, timing.
Throw all
he
year.
has
Bang.
all of that. And if you want someone who can operate from the pocket, Michael Penix was your dude. So it's early for some, but it certainly makes sense if you love the quarterback that can deal from
Look
the
at
pocket.
my guy outside the pocket, too. He makes some good movements within the pocket, showed you some athleticism in his pro day to put some of those injury concerns to rest. Dude ran 4.4, okay, at his pro day. And then, boy, he was absolutely surgical throughout his career at Washington. Had a phenomenal connection with Kalen DeBoer, his offensive staff there with the Huskies, even going back to his Indiana days, and now is franchise QB in waiting for the Atlanta Falcons. And this is a guy who's 24 years old, or 23 years old.
I'm trying to figure out what we're doing here.
With the 9th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Rome Odunze, wide receiver, Washington.
So the guys who came on the same flight from Los Angeles commercially are going to hop on Air McCaskey to go to Chicago together. And Caleb Williams drafted 1st overall into an offense that already had Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. Will have Rome Odunze at his disposal this fall. What a windfall for the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams 1, Rome Odunze 9.
Caleb Williams has already been throwing with Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen. Maybe he saw the future of where this thing was going. But you talk about transforming an offense in one offseason. I don't know if there's a bigger transformation than the one that's taking place in Chicago right now.
Remember the discussion going in. Offensive tackle. Remember Olu Fashanu played there with Caleb Williams in high school.
Kind of like what the Chicago Bears are doing with their first couple picks.
Tell you what's really underrated here. Keenan Allen, known as one of the great route runners coming into the league, and then as he's been in the league, Rome Odunze, one of the areas of improvement is really fine-tuning the routes. But the footwork, when he wants to, he's outstanding.
Yeah.
It's just doing it on a consistent basis. It's learning to play to his top speed. But when you look at Keenan Allen, he's a guy who is able to play faster than his time speed. The thing with Rome Odunze I really love is he can work from every position, including the slot. When the ball goes up, it turns into about an 80-20. He has amazing body control in the air. You'll always see the arm extension and going to snatch the ball with strong hands outside of his frame. Right there, he showed you a little double move. He's got better speed than you think because he doesn't always play to that top speed. That's what I saw right there. That little whip route shows the ability to become a more refined route runner, in my opinion. But the ball tracking, the winning the ball, when the ball goes up, he can win contested catches underneath. He can take the slant and go and give you some yardage out of the slot, or he can just beat you down the field, which is something that we saw a lot from Michael Penix, his quarterback, is, hey, throw it up to Rome and let Rome go do something with it. And Rome usually did something with it.
So how about the most prolific quarterback wide receiver duo in college football over the course of the last 2 seasons, going back-to-back picks? Penix at 8 to the Falcons, and now Odunze at 9, whose new quarterback shared a flight to Detroit with him. Good news is, no souls perished.
The Vikings moved up 1 spot with the Jets. They flipped the Jets a 4th and a 5th on Saturday for the right to move up 1 spot. And we are assuming it is to take JJ McCarthy because Michael Penix was selected by the Falcons about 20 minutes ago. Here's the commissioner to make it official.
To help make the Minnesota Vikings selection, we are honored to have with us the surviving mother, brothers, and nephew of fallen hero, United States Army Sergeant Zachary Ewing. Zachary died after a battle with cancer, a cancer that was discovered after he was injured during his 2nd deployment to Iraq. We salute him and thank his family and TAPS, the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, which offers care to those grieving the loss of a military loved one. I'm now going to turn this over to Sergeant Ewing's nephew, Asher, who will announce the pick in honor of his uncle.
With the 10th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select
JJ McCarthy,
quarterback, Michigan.
And a huge ovation from the Wolverine heavy crowd here in Detroit, just down the road. And as you can see, in Van Buren Township, Michigan, he is going to Minnesota. And he is the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, joining a room with Sam Darnold, who was signed earlier.
Cold weather, tough rebuild, tough division. You could go to the Giants. That's a tough rebuild as well. He goes to Kevin O'Connell's offense. This is tailor-made. And the thing that really stands out about J.J. McCarthy, you got to start with intangibles. Teams love the fact he was 63-3, dating all the way back to high school and through college. He has been a winner. And when I say winner, it's not to be taken lightly because he's got great command and confidence on the field. He takes every slight, puts it in his little memory box, and he goes out and tries to get you back for that. He can run the ball outside of the pocket, so he has that ability. He has the ability to really throw with anticipation in the middle of the field. I think he's a quarterback who does a really nice job of throwing on the run, incredibly accurate on rollout passes, and that could be some old school Mike Shanahan, Gary Kubiak boot action stuff under center because he has played in a pro-style offense there in Michigan. So I think this is the perfect pick for the Minnesota Vikings. Of all the quarterbacks, I think this one makes sense. And for J.J. McCarthy, frankly, from a fit standpoint, with Jay Jett out there at wide receiver, I don't know that it could be better, that you could have just picked a quarterback-needy team better than the Minnesota Vikings.
Really like the pick, and I like the pick because Kevin O'Connell routinely sets his quarterbacks up for success. And with Sam Darnold there, there's not the rush necessarily to put J.J. McCarthy on the field right away. This is an opportunity for them to fully build the offense around him. And Lance, what I liked about what you talked about, his winning intangibles and attributes, we see it time and time again. This dude is a big-time playmaker. He made the plays that were needed to make it. But when your team is up and blowing everyone out, you're not going to compile a lot of gaudy stats. He just knows how to get the team to the winner's circle that matters in this league.
It is not a lack of elite plays. It is a lack of volume of elite plays. And that is not of McCarthy's choosing or his own fault. It is the way they played offense. And he was an expert at running the offense, guided the Michigan Wolverines to the top of the mountain in college football. And he is the 5th quarterback taken. That is the first time 5 quarterbacks have gone in the top 10 in the common draft era. What has been missing from the top 10? Defense.